what is going on YouTube? It is your boy Tropical NHL back at it again for a brand new YouTube video. Today we're here to talk about the Montreal Canadiens and to talk about some Montreal Canadiens prospects. You already know a couple months back I made a Habs prospect tier list video. I think it's one of my best videos in terms of statistics, and today we're here to make a new one. The Habs have a lot more prospects right now. Some of them got better, some of them got worse, and we're gonna just update this tier list. We're gonna rank them, and yes, if you guys want to make the tier list, do it in the comments below and I'll read all of them. But before getting into the tier list, I invite you guys to subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get the 5K subscribers before the start of training camp in September. That would be absolutely awesome. And since 70% of people watching are not subscribed, if you could turn on post notification and subscribe, that would be absolutely amazing. As well as the like button. Can we get 150 likes for this tier list? That would be absolutely awesome. So yeah, today we're here to rank Habs prospect. I'm not gonna rank all of them, but I'm gonna rank the best ones, the ones that we talked the most about in conversations. I'm not gonna rank every single one of them because the video would be like 45 minutes long, and all the 7, 6, 5 round picks that we don't really talk about, there's no need to really talk about them. I selected 15 prospects, the 15 best ones, and 15 guys that we're gonna hear talk a lot about in the next couple of years, and the guys that have, for me, the best chance to play a couple of games in the NHL in the coming years. So here's the tier list. You already know the ranking system: S, A, B, C, D. D is more like a player that should be in the AHL. C is more like a player that could be playing on the fourth line in a couple of years. B is more like a middle six player that is also able to play in the top 6 if needed. A is a top 6 player, and S is a future stud, a future superstar that is going to get top pairing minutes or top blind minutes. So this is how we're gonna work for today, and let's get right into it. So here is the first one on this tier list, and it's a guy that the Montreal Canadiens drafted this year, and he's a goaltender, and it's Jacob Fowler. I think that Jacob Fowler has a lot of potential. I think that Jacob Fowler is going to be a player in the NHL. He's going to be a goaltender in the NHL. He has that potential. He's really, really athletic. He won the championship in the USHL this year. He got named player of the tournament for the playoffs. He was the MVP of the playoffs, and he got some absolutely insane statistics over there. He's going to play with Boston College over the next couple of years. I think he's going to progress a lot. So I'm going to place him at the A tier for now. I think he has that starter potential. He has a lot of talent, and I am practically 100% certain that this guy is going to play in the NHL in the long term, and this guy has more potential than Caden Primo ever had. Second prospect of this tier list is a prospect that I think a lot of people underrate. We saw him play in the white versus red game a couple of days back at the development camp. Adam Angstrom, he's a left-handed defenseman. He probably was the second best player on the ice behind Leighton Hudson, behind David Regehr. He was in that area. He played as good as them. He was really good at moving the puck, making passes. He was really, really amazing in that game. And he's playing with adults in Europe. He's been performing really well. He's a later round pick from the Montreal Canadiens, and we don't really talk about him enough, in my opinion. I think that this guy definitely has the top 4 potential to be in the NHL, and I think that he has more potential than guys like Jordan Harris, for example. So really one of the most underrated prospects for the Montreal Canadiens. I think he has what it takes to be a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, and I'm going to place him at the B tier. I think he's going to be in the NHL. He's going to be a consistent, versatile player that can play almost everywhere, and he's going to be a Habs player for a really long time. That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. Adam Angstrom is the most underrated Habs prospect of them all. Here we have Oliver Kapanen. I know a lot of people were really excited about this kid when he got drafted. He played at the World Junior Championship. I think he was captain of Team Finland in the last tournament. I never really was impressed about this kid. I think that he could play a couple of games here and there in the NHL, but I don't think that he has the potential to be a consistent NHL player, play 82 games a season. I think he's more of a you call back from the AHL when you need a guy when there's too many injuries. So I'm going to place him at the D tier. Personally, I think he's going to be more of an AHL guy that plays a couple of games here and there in the NHL. And I think that a lot of people were overhyping him a lot. He's good. He has the talent, but he's more of a type of player that's too good for the AHL, but not good enough for the NHL. He's an offensive player. He's fast, but he won't be good enough to play in the top 6. So, yeah, that's my personal opinion on him. Here we have Arbor Jackie's brother, Florian Jack, who got selected in the 3rd round by the Montreal Canadiens in the latest NHL entry draft. I said 3rd round. It's 4th round, actually, I think. So, yes, Florian Jack is a bit in the same way as his brother. He plays physical. He fights a lot. He plays with intensity. I don't think that he has the potential to be a superstar in the NHL. I don't think he has the potential to be a bottom 6 player in the NHL. But one thing is for sure, he plays with intensity. And when you play with intensity, you usually find yourself a place in the NHL. I don't think he's going to be a player that gets 20 goals. I don't think he's going to be as good as Harbor, his brother, but I definitely do think that he's going to end up finding himself a spot on the Montreal Canadiens lineup in a bit in a similar role that Michael Pezzetta is having right now. I think he could be a similar player, scoring a couple of goals here and there, getting a couple of points here and there, but mostly being a guy that hits hard, has forechecks, and that fights when needed. So I'm going to place him at the C tier. I think that he definitely has the potential to be a 4th line player for the Montreal Canadiens. Like I said, a bit in the same way as a Michael Pezzetta, and he could be useful in the playoffs. He could be useful in the regular season when you're playing in the physical games. And having both him and Arbor in the lineup, I think that teams would be a bit hesitant before making dirty plays because they know they would have to answer to one of these two. Here we have another underrated Habs prospect in my opinion, and it's Jacob Dobesh. I've been making videos about him since I started the channel. Not a lot of people were talking about him last year. I was making videos about this kid last year, and he's really good. He was playing in the USHL, he signed his first professional contract at the end of last season. He finished the year with the Laval Rocket. He didn't play a game, but we saw him play at the development camp a couple of days ago, and he was absolutely fantastic. I think that he is right now the goaltender in the Habs system that has the higher ceiling. Jacob Fowler has the more potential because I think he's a safer option. Jacob Fowler, no matter what, is going to play in the NHL at some point in his career, that's for sure. But for me, Jacob Dobesh has a higher ceiling. He's a bit bigger, he's athletic. Like I said, his ceiling is really, really high, but what makes him not as good as Fowler is that his floor is lower. Like his floor is very, very low. Jacob Dobesh is either going to be an AHL goaltender or a first NHL goaltender. There's no in between. It's either he's going to be a first goaltender or either is going to be an AHL goaltender. That's how he is. Really, really high ceiling, really, really low floor. That's who Jacob Dobesh is. But I feel like if he can grow into his full potential, he's going to be one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. That's my personal opinion on him. So I'm going to place him at the A tier as well, right behind Jacob Fowler, just because his floor is a lot lower. But like I said, his ceiling is also a lot higher. Here we have Owen Beck, 33rd overall selection of the Montreal Canadiens in the 2022 NHL entry draft. He's been playing in the OHL over the last year. He played a game with the Canadiens last year on an emergency recall. He's really good. People compare him to Shane Wright. People call him a light version of Shane Wright. And I think that Owen Beck is almost guaranteed to play in the NHL over the next 2 years. He is one of the closest player to be NHL ready right now in the Habs system, and I feel like he could make the jump as soon as not this year but next season. And I think he's going to be the 3rd line center of the future for the Montreal Canadiens. So yeah, so Owen Beck is a safe bet. He's going to play in the NHL, that's for sure. So I'm going to place him at the same rank as Adam Angstrom. I'm going to place him at the B tier. Owen Beck as the 3rd line center of the Montreal Canadiens. He's going to be really, really good. Here we have Riley Kidney. Yes, a lot of people were hyped as hell about Riley Kidney. I mean, he got an almost 2-point per game pace in the QMJHL this year. He was absolutely insane, but a lot of people overhype him a little bit, I think, in my opinion. Yes, he was really, really good in juniors, but the only thing he has to his game is offense. And I don't think that he has the type of talent to play in the top 6 in the NHL. Has the style of play of a top 6 player, but he doesn't have enough talent to play on the top 6 in the NHL. I'd like to compare him like guys like Daniel Carr, guys like Anthony Richard, guys that are too good for the AHL, but not good enough for the NHL. They're going to be able to get almost a point per game in the AHL. They're going to be able to be really, really good. They're going to play a couple of games here and there in the NHL, but they will never be good enough to establish themselves as consistent NHL players. Just because they don't have the talent to play on the top 6 in the NHL, and they don't have the skills to play on the bottom 6 role, playing in more of a defensive style. So for me, that's the reason on why I don't think that Riley Kidney is going to be that good of an NHL player. Like I said, I think he's going to play a couple of games here and there in the NHL, but that's going to be mostly in the AHL for him. I'm going to place him at the same rank as Oliver Kapanen at the D tier. I think he's going to be an excellent AHL player, and I think that he's going to play a couple of games here and there for the Canadiens, but nothing more than that. We have a guy that's been playing in Laval over the last season, and William Trudeau. I think he's one of the most untalked about Habs prospect. He's been really, really good. He had decent statistics in the AHL last year. He moves the puck well. He plays good defense. He makes great passes. So if he continues to develop at that speed, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he find himself a spot on the Habs roster in a couple of seasons. I think that he could be, well, definitely a 7th or 6th defenseman, bottom pairing defenseman for the Canadiens, being really, really consistent and versatile. So I'm going to place him at the C tier right here with Florian Jack, more of a bottom pairing player. I'm going to place him higher than Jack though, because I feel like he has a better ceiling, maybe playing on the PK. He is that type of dude, really, really versatile, and he definitely has what it takes to play in the NHL in the future. Vincent Rohrer, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I always forget what the pronunciation is. Let me know in the comments below. But yes, this is another guy that's really good offensively. His work ethic is impeccable, but like the other two here, I'm going to place him at the D tier. I think that he's good, too good. He's going to be too good for the AHL, but not good enough for the NHL. And I think that's going to be his problem. I'm going to place him at the same spot as Riley Kidney. He's not as good as Riley Kidney offensively, but I feel like he's going to be in that area. Not all players can play in the NHL. He might end up being a trade bait just like Riley Kidney. It's also a possibility they could maximize their value right now and place them into trades, because the Canadiens have a lot of depth and prospect in forwards and even in defensemen. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with those guys. Here we have Jared Davidson. Jared Davidson was a top 5 point producer since 2020-2021 in the WHL. He was in the top 5 behind guys like Benson, Connor Bedard, Matthew Savoy. Really, really good player. He's been really, really decent. So he could surprise a lot of people. I think he has what it takes to play in the NHL. He's also a guy that could adapt his play. He's pretty decent defensively as well. He's mostly good at everything he does on the ice. He was a bit older than everybody, but still he got some pretty decent statistics. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he finds himself a spot as a fourth line center for the Montreal Canadiens in the future. So I'm going to place him at the C tier. I think he definitely has what it takes to be an NHL player. He won't be a superstar. He won't be a top 6 player. But to play on a third or a fourth line, I think he definitely has what it takes. Here we have Lane Hudson, one of the steals of the 2022 NHL entry draft. I don't even have nothing to say about him. He's really good. He's been compared to Quinn Hughes. He's been compared to Adam Fox. He's been compared to Kel McCarr. Not saying he will be as good as those guys, but he's going to be playing the same style of play, getting a lot of points, moving the puck, playing on the power play. He's going to be an excellent player for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm just going to place him at the S tier because I feel like he has the potential to be a 60-point defender in the NHL for the Habs in his prime. So really, really high ceiling for Lane Hudson. Sky's the limit for him. He's really, really talented. So I'm going to place him at the S tier. I kind of have no choice. Like, he is that good. Then we have Philip Machar. Philip Machar, good friend of Juraj Slafkovsky. I think he's going to be an NHLer. He has everything he needs to play in the NHL. He's apparently going to make the jump to the AHL as soon as next season, so we're going to see him a lot more. Might play a couple of games here and there in the NHL as well. He was a first-round pick, really, really talented, hard-working guy as well. His work ethic is impeccable. He didn't have an as good season as we thought he would have playing in the OHL, but apparently the environment of his team was not the best, so that's one of the reasons on why they want to bring him to the AHL next season. And I think that he could be a really, really efficient player for the Canadiens in the future, playing on the third line with a guy like Owen Tippett, for example, being versatile, able to play a couple of games here and there in the top six, get some power play times when needed as well. I think he is that type of guy. So having him at the B tier with guys like Angstrom, Beck, I think he is in that same category of player. Just realized this is Joshua Roy. This is not Riley Kidney. I just realized that. Made a mistake. The squares are really, really small on my screen right now. It's not really easy. I'm going to place Riley Kidney back in here. And we're going to put Joshua Roy at the B tier. I think he's going to be a similar player. I could definitely see a third line of the future of the Montreal Canadiens of Joshua Roy, Owen Beck, and Philip Machar. I think that would be pretty dangerous of a third line. Joshua Roy is really, really good. A lot of people seeing him almost a point per game player. He's not going to be that guy. He's going to be a bottom six player, playing on the third line, playing on the PK, being really, really efficient and versatile. Like I said, when there are going to be injuries, Joshua Roy will be able to play on the top six role, just like Machar, just like Beck. This is going to be a really solid third line if it does happen, if they do end up getting to their full potential. But yeah, Joshua Roy is really going to be a heck of a player for the Montreal Canadiens, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see what's going to be next for him with the Habs organization. Here is Luke Tuck. A lot of people expected him to be as good as his brother. It never happened. He performed pretty well at the development camp for the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of people were impressed. I was not. I mean, he was like 3 years older than everybody. And at that age, there's a huge difference in physicality, in confidence. So yeah, I was not impressed on him shitting on 18-year-old kids at 21. So yeah, I don't think that Luke Tuck is going to be that impressive of a player. Probably going to end up playing in the AHL. So I'm going to place him at the D tier. I don't think he has that much of potential. He had some when they drafted him, but he never really progressed that much in terms of the statistics in the NCAA. So yeah, really disappointed by him, but I don't think he's going to be ever anything in the NHL. So yeah, before we get to David Reinbacher, I realized that I forgot two pretty big Habs prospects in the tier list. I mean, there's so many of them. It's hard to follow, man. The Canadiens are really, really deep in prospects. I think it's the first time I ever saw that in my life. I mean, in 22 years of being a Habs fan, I never seen that many good prospects in the Habs system. So I forgot about Logan Mayu, and I forgot about Sean Farrell. As for Sean Farrell, he played a couple of games last season. He was pretty decent. He has a decent vision. He has really, really good hands. He's fast. He skates really well. I think he has a pretty decent potential. So I'm going to place him at the B tier. I think he could be a top six player, but he's most likely going to be a bottom six player playing on the third line, getting some power play time. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all. He has a high ceiling. He could be a really good player. He could be a really good top six player. But for right now, I'm going to stay safe and I'm going to place him at the B tier for now, but he could be a B+. Like in between B and A, that's where I think Sean Farrell is at the moment. It's going to be really, really interesting to see where he plays next season. Will it be in Laval? Will it be in Montreal? It will all be decided in training camp. As for Logan Mayu, and how could I forget about Logan Mayu in the tier list? I mean, he's going to be the future D partner of Kaden Guhle and Logan Mayu being the second pair. First pair is going to be Reinbacher and Lane Hudson. Those two lines are going to be absolutely amazing in the future for the Canadiens. And yeah, Logan Mayu is going to get a pretty decent amount of points. He's going to be physical. He's going to be more of a light version of a guy like Shea Weber playing on the power play, having a heavy shot coming from the blue line. So definitely Logan Mayu is going to be an A for me. I think he's a bit in the same situation as Farrell, like right in between B and A, like maybe more of a B+. But still, I think Logan Mayu has more potential than Sean Farrell. And yes, I'm going to place him at the A tier. Now back to the past me, who's going to rank David Reinbacher. And to end this tier list, we have our good buddy David Reinbacher. I threw a chair when they drafted him, but now I'm kind of happy they did because Matvei Michkov looks like some drama. He refused to go to development camp for the Flyers, and yes, it would have been a pain in the ass to see that in Montreal. So for David Reinbacher, I see him the future partner of Lane Hudson. I made a video talking about this. He's going to be a heck of a player, not a shutdown defenseman, not an offensive defenseman, more of a like a two-way defender that can move the puck, make great passes, block shot, and be good at everything he does in the ice. I see him as a defensive version of Nick Suzuki. He's that guy. I don't think he's going to be that superstar like Lane Hudson, but he definitely is going to be a top pairing defenseman. So I'm going to place him right here at the A tier, at the high A tier. If they had an A plus tier, I would have placed him there, but at the top of the A tier, it works perfectly good as well. So that was my Habs prospect tier list for 2023, my updated Habs prospect tier list. Give me yours in the comments below. Let me know how good I did. Argue with me in the comments below. Do anything as you want. Subscribe, share, comment, like, do anything like you want, like I said. It's been your boy Tropical NHL, and I'll see y'all later for another video. Have a nice rest of your day, and bye-bye.